Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Kopano Ramashala, founder and MD at Zimbabwe Telecom. Now I know it's been a while and some of you are on my back to drop another episode, but fortunately it's been too busy and it was an all hands on deck situation. So I needed to also get down in the trenches and grind with my team. But without further ado, let's get into why you are here. Now, this is one of the most awaited episodes. How to set up and connect your client in a WISP situation. So today, we'll be discussing how to set up or rather connect your customer to your access point, i.e. your tower, in your WISP setup. Now, I want to go back a little bit so you guys can understand how these things really do work. We're going to start with a little bit of theory, but that'll give us the best basis and foundation for you to understand how things really work in this space. So I'm going to start with an example. You are a customer with your ISP. You've signed up for a package, 10 megabits per second down, 10 megabits per second up. Sharp. That's how it is. So you're getting a speed of 10 megs up, 10 megs down. And you do speed test and you download movies and you do whatever, but you're always hitting that ceiling to say, I've reached my 10 megs. Fair enough. I'm going to make you understand how we rate limit clients and why it is done in the first place. So the reason why you'd rate limit a client is obviously you have a set amount of bandwidth coming into your tower or into your equipment, be it at a data center or wherever. Let's say you have a gig of bandwidth coming in. 1 gigabit per second coming into your tower. Now you want to have yourself 500 clients on that tower. So you need to think about how much bandwidth will those clients be eating. If you don't rate limit them and they can all have that 500 or a gig at any time, that means if you've got 500 clients fighting over a gig, obviously there'll be buffering and all sorts of issues for your customers and for yourself, because obviously your equipment will be reaching a bottleneck of some sort. So here's the example that I'm going back to. You're on a 10 meg package. We're going to rate limit our clients using a system called PPPoE and AAA, including radius. Now I'm going to break things down piece by piece. We'll start with PPPoE and what it means. PPPoE, the meaning of it is simply point to point to point protocol over Ethernet. This means it's a network protocol that's used to establish a network connection over an Ethernet network. And this is most definitely commonly used by ISPs like ourselves, whether it's fiber, it's DSL, or it's wireless, like how we do it as well. So PPPoE requires a username and a password for a user to connect to the network. And once it's authenticated, that's when the user is allowed to access the network and start using it. Now it comes to the next part, which I mentioned before, which is AAA. What does AAA mean? AAA in the PPPoE world basically means something we use to manage a user, to authenticate them, that's number one, authorize them, that's number two, and also do accounting. So the authentication basically is when a user connects, they knock onto what we call a radius server. Now, Radius Server is a database which has all of your users there, and their different rates, their speeds as per se, and so on and so forth. So what will happen is your antenna, for example, just wanna take it here, is gonna speak to my AP. Hey AP, can I connect to you using a username and password? And then they connect to each other, they agree. And then either on the AP or on your router, there'll also be the PPP communicating to your Radius server that's obviously housed on your router, your tower router, which communicates with the Radius server that's actually housed at a data center or whatever's controlling it, depending on how you set things up. But it'll be saying, hi, now that I'm connected to you, the guy that's actually going to be using this internet, his name is John Smith. Do you know John Smith? And then the Radius server is going to be like, yes, no, maybe, I don't know. Could you repeat that question? But if he says yes, then that's when he'll authenticate that user to say, yes, I know John Smith. And John Smith is a part of our network. That's the authentication step of it. Now, authorization. After the user has been successfully authenticated, the AAA system authorizes the user and allows them to access the network according to specific permissions. Now, that's where the 10 by 10 speed, 20 by 20 speed, to say, okay, I know John Smith. John Smith is only authorized to use 10 megabits down by 10 megabits up. Cool beans. Now we know what John Smith is allowed to use and why he's here. And then comes the last step, which is accounting. Now, accounting keeps track of the user activity, such as the amount of data they use. This is usually used for billing enforcement limits, you know, when they say you have a fair use policy. So that's where the accounting part comes. They say, hey, John Smith has used over 1 terabyte. No, we can't be abusing the network so much. So we're going to limit his speed to 2 megs now, you know. And that's what happens on most of these LTE platforms. But yeah, here at Bakwena Telecoms, you can download 100 terabytes for all we care. Download and feed. Do what you want, you know. Let your blood flow the way you want it to flow. We don't really care. That's why we would say we're uncapped, unlimited, unthrottled. That's what it means. FUP will only come when you start, you know, diving into dark websites and stuff. That's where we'll valela you outside, you know. But yeah, basically, that's what AAA uses. And as I said, it uses a Radius server. Radius server houses all of that information which I had, you know, talked about in those steps. So now that you have a background of how things are and how things work in terms of that, we're gonna connect our AP, our client CPE antenna. You'll notice it's just a Mbopo pipe. I just wanna find the rest of the dish. You see it was in there. So I just detached it for space purposes here on my table. So we're gonna connect this to one of our APs. Unfortunately, you won't see the AP laid out in front of me. It's somewhere here, you know, on our tower. I don't have an AP that's lying around, unfortunately, for show. However, I'll connect it to one of our APs and you'll see how we do it. Now, we're gonna first things first use some network management software that we call Splinks, that we use. It houses our Radius server and much more. So it does the billing, it does the monitoring, it does a lot, communication with clients and so on and so forth. So if you go on my screen, you'll see we're in the Bakwena Telecom Splinks, and we have a client here called Test001. I've already set it up, so things just roll a bit quicker here. I'm gonna go into test. So what you'd usually do, you would first go to new, set it up, put in test information and so on and so forth, blah, blah, blah. Now, one thing you must note, Splinks is integrated and connected to our routers. So all of our core routers, Splinks is integrated into that. So our core routers can talk to Splinks, which is our radio server, and say, do you know this guy? Yes, and so on and so forth. So all the information that we also input in here is pushed to our specific routers. So Splinks can do the AAA that we're talking about, you know? And our core routers can also do the AAA we're talking about, and they communicate with each other. So don't be surprised how, I put stuff into Splinks and then automatically when the antenna connects, our core router already knows who John Smith is. But in this case, John Smith is tester test. So yeah, we've set up a service for tester test. And he's on a wonke Wi-Fi, 380 a month, 10.7. We do 10.7 for the interest of saving bandwidth on the network, and anyway, a lot of people don't use upload that much. Now I want to just go into tests details here so you can see. I'm not going to go through setting up the service that much. Maybe we'll do it in another video when we're going through Splinks and its various features. So as you can see, test here has service login. So it's test001, and the service password, we'll check, it's test at 123. In the beginning, I talked about PPPoE, where there's a username and a password. So the username in our case here is test001 or 001, and the password is test at 123. Sharpies. We're gonna copy that. Now here on Splinks, we do an assignment method of permanent IPs from our static IPs, and these are private IPs. We only give public IPs to those who actually will use them and want to buy them. But in our networks, we just use private IPs, and then it nats its way out. We'll go into all of that terminology along the way. And then I would say save. Cool beans. Now I'm going to connect my antenna to its PPPoE. It's plugged in way down there, so you won't see it. Hopefully you can see this, that it's on somewhere somehow. But it is on. It might be on the floor at some point. Let me see if I can balance it here. It looks like it's balanced. And yeah, we still have our router, guys. Still have our router here, plugged into power. And then there's a port labeled WAN port, as I spoke about last time in blue. We have this cable here that's going to be plugged into the LAN port of our PoE. Sharp. Now I want to connect to some Wi-Fi, and we'll go to that LBE5AC. That is now the management Wi-Fi for our antenna now. Makes things easy. 168.1.20. Okay. It's connected to our antenna. Do you want to go into the private stuff? Yes is the answer. Okay, so this is a ubiquiti device. As you'll notice, we still have a lot of those. One day we'll do some MikroTik stuff as we move into the MikroTik devices, as we have suggested. Language, English, device, country, South Africa, and then I agree to the terms and conditions. It's gonna ask me for a username and password. So what can I say? Kopano RAM. And then I'll just say cop 12345. Cop 12345 for my password. I'm trying to say it out loud so I remember it. It's not matching. Cop 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What's going on here? My passwords aren't matching, guys? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yo. Yeah, it wants a strong password. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So KOP 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There you go, they finally match. So usually as a username for antenna, you'll set up whatever you'll be using globally for all your antennas in your ISP. It just makes sense like that, and the password. Now, thankfully the management radio will be enabled and active for the next 7 hours, so we can do this video nice. We're just gonna say dismiss to that. Now, this is how we usually run through things. We would start with system, and under device name, we would just put a dash and say test 001. So we know who's the user, you must write John Smith, so you know whose antenna it is, because once you're in there, in the secret place of antenna land, and you're going through your users who are connected to specific antennas, you want to know who it is. You don't want to just see device name Lightbeam 5 AC and you've got 100 of them, and then you're like, yo, who's who in the zoo? Okay, I'm gonna save changes there. Save my changes, and then we're gonna go to network. So remember in my previous video, I talked about a flat network, which is a bridge network or routed network. This is where I usually select the router part. Okay, I need to fix something under wireless. Okay, the antenna was still on point-to-point mode, so I had to take that off. Save those changes. No. Okay, point-to-point mode, and then go back to network. And now we have our router mode. And under configuration mode, we'll leave it at simple. WAN interface, bridged, and then WAN IP address. How will we be getting that? And that's through PPPoE. Now, some people use a static address. That's when mostly you'll be, what can I say, doing it through a bridge network type of protocol, or you have public IPs that you'd want to put and you'd put statically. You can also do that. DHCP, as you know, we're getting a dynamic IP from wherever that server is. So username, it was test 001, and the password was test at 123. That's correct, ne guys? Yeah, correct. You see, this is where we're putting in the PPPoE credentials. This is where we put them in as an ISP. Some ISPs put them on the router, but we learned the hard way from that, because your clients will reboot your router or reset it when they can't connect, and they think they are smart and they want to reset their router to factory defaults, and then you have to drive there, put in those credentials again. You don't want to waste your diesel or your petrol. So yeah, we keep it on the antenna itself, and it helps with not bridging the entire network and just putting some router vibes in between. Now, under fallback IP, you can put up a fallback IP, which is a static one that you can have throughout your network, that you can connect to this antenna, even if it has authenticated to PPPoE or not, but we choose not to. And then let's remove this block management access, otherwise we'll be kicked out and not be able to manage this again. And then the rest we'll just leave as it is. Make sure NAT is on, all of those protocols are on. If you want to use IPv6, use it. And then we go to LAN network settings, LAN interface. We usually, now you see there's an IP address there for the LAN interface, net mask, DHCP server. This is where we say enable, because we want our antenna to now give a DHCP address to our router. So if that client reboots the router, even if it's at default settings, it'll get a DHCP address and they can still use internet, although it'll be now open for anybody to use. Now the range start will be from 1681.2 to 254. Then the lease time would usually say 86,400. This means the DHCP lease will change every 24 hours. 8,600 or 86,400 seconds equals 1 day. Primary DNS will use Google. Secondary DNS will use our gateway. You know, I don't want to put it up here on screen because people are dangerous up here. And that's basically it. In terms of the network page, we're going to say save changes. Wait for it to apply them changes. Applying changes. Applying changes. Okay. So I've been waiting and waiting, and it's just been applying changes and not loading up. Why? Well, remember under LAN, the IP, the default IP changed from being 1.20 to 1.1. So now I've got to use 1.1 as the default IP to connect to the antenna. So it'll kick you out like that. Don't be surprised. Now we'll use hopefully it's the right one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. No, don't save the password. Right, as X will say, right. I pull my TV. Now, we're gonna connect it to an AP. Go to wireless, then under SSID, we'll select, and it'll start scanning for AP to connect. Now, these are all of our APs. This is one of the first APs I actually had. Now, I'd want to connect to that one. And then you can either say lock to AP or just select. Most of the time lock it, so it's just locked to that specific AP. And then what is the password there? You won't see it. And then now you got your output power that will adjust according to your distance. But guys, that's a story for another day. I don't want to go into the nitty-gritties of that. And then you would save changes. Configuration changes successfully applied. Then we're going to go back to our dashboard. Say not now. And we'll wait for it to connect to the access point. Now, as you can see, it's searching the frequency, saying, which frequency are you at, Konje? Then once it's found it, it'll knock and say, do you know me? And then say, I know you, and connect. And after that connects, it'll then do the whole AAA, PPPoE vibe. The Bluetooth device is connected successfully. Okay, it's connected to our access point successfully. Now, things you'd want to look out is your signal here. Needs to be nice, in the 50s. But yeah, for the interest of this video, we'll just leave it at that. Okay, as you can see, we have a throughput capacity down here, capacity and the actual throughput. So this is what is available for you to use. That's what's actually going through. Now, I'm going to want to connect. Oh yeah, but before we go there, I want to show you guys that our PPPoE is authenticated. We're going to go to more details, PPPoE information, and it says username, and it's giving us that local IP, DNS, blah, 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 secondary IP. So that means it's connected successfully. And then under here, you'll see what we call a tunnel. So there's bridge, LAN, and a tunnel. So it's created a tunnel, which is the PPPoE connection from it to the internet using that IP address. Lacquer stuff, sharpies. So now you can see what I meant by the PPPoE and then I want to connect that LAN to the WAN of the router. Cool. Now, if we go back to more details here, I'm going to go to DHCP leases, and it's given a DHCP lease to hostname Tender, which is my router. That's the IP address it's given it. So we are Mnandi. Now we're going to connect to my router, which I've named Anpu. And as you can see, it's rebooted the antenna login, so I can log in again if I wanted to. But that's what I don't want to do that. I want to log on to my router. Let me see, tenderwifi.com. And I've logged on to my router, and as you can see, I have some online devices, probably my laptop, my phone, another device that's in here. Now, if you see the WAN IP address here, it's that 192.168.1.48 that we talked about, that the antenna has given to the router. And just go to youtube.com and see if it's working. It will be a bit slow because this is pointing at me and not the actual access point, and you'll get to see my algorithm and what I watch. There you go. On a POC. On a shoulder. And there you can see my page. And yeah, how things are working. So guys, that's basically it here. Nothing to it. So long as you have a PPPoE credentials, you have a radius server, you can set it up on your MikroTik router locally. You don't have to have Splinks like me. But once you start having more than 40 clients, I won't be able to keep track of spreadsheets and loading each user one by one. You need something to connect to your routers. It doesn't have to be Splinks, it could be some other network management or radius server software. Whether in the cloud or local, it's up to you to use what you want to use, guys. It's up to you. So that's how it is, you know. And yeah, that's that. Ebook on the WISP is coming. Busy cooking. As I said, I've been tied up with other things, but I've been constantly putting in the work to cook up the ultimate WISP cookbook. So that ebook is on its way. Thank you very much for the subscribers and those who viewed and also purchased the HOTSPOT ebook. I'm very happy to see you guys invest in yourself. That is the best thing you can do. And yeah, unfortunately, with sad eyes, we don't have any more 30-minute free consultations. Unfortunately, some people decided to abuse that. And yeah, now everybody will have to just pay. You're more than welcome to pop me questions via email. I'll answer where I can, but I will not dive deep and be in detail because overall, or it is my time at the end of the day, and if I'm too busy, I want to answer you. However, I don't have the time to do it the way I'd like it. So if you've booked the one-on-one call with me that you have paid for, I'll obviously make the time to answer all of the questions that you might have. You can milk the cow as much as you want because you would have paid and you would have been investing in yourself and your future business. Now, that's that. I don't want to go in too much. If you haven't subscribed, click subscribe. It's free, it's mahala. If you haven't liked the video, click like. And make sure to share with your friends, your chomies, or those who are interested in this business as well. And yeah, let's spread the love and have people connecting the unconnected and the unconnected get connected. One more time, it's yours in connectivity, Kopano Ramashala. Till next time, I'm out of here.